It's the Score North Twin Show.
Yes, welcome in to a Friday episode of the Score North Twin Show. We're going to be honest, we're mostly doing this, Judd. Declan's off today. Happy birthday, Declan. We're mostly doing this because there's 2 new categories on the Immaculate Grid. And so that was going to be the episode, is just jumping in and doing an Immaculate Grid, which we
All
will.
about that.
But then we also saw that there's another name off the board, another Twins free agent. We didn't even include this guy on our original list of Twins free agents, but
You didn't deserve it.
I feel like, I don't know, he made a couple nice starts. Tyler Mahle. So here's the updated outgoing scoreboard. Sonny Gray, gone. I'm just adding Mahle here. Kenta Maeda, gone. Emilio Pagan, gone. These guys all signed with different teams. Andrew Stevenson, who was on your playoff roster as a backup outfielder, gone. Signed in Japan, right?
Yep.
Tyler Mahle signs a 2-year, $22 million contract with the Rangers coming off that Tommy John surgery. So he's now gone too. What was your favorite Tyler Mahle moment with the Twins?
I think my favorite was when the Twins, when I'm sure that a few doctors called and said, "Are you sure about this?" They're like, "Oh yeah, what could go wrong?" Yeah, boy, the Twins. You know what? Derek Falvey's made some very nice trades, pitching acquisitions.
Yeah,
in the off season, he deserves credit for that.
He gets a little panicky during the season. It feels like
Deadline
doesn't check Google for
I never thought
injuries.
I never thought I'd say this because it's very un-Judd like. But, and I think I started this in July. The deadline deals, I'm not sure he should be making them anymore.
Yeah.
Like is Sergio Romo the best acquisition of a deadline trade he's made?
And he was a good acquisition too. He also had he was great in the celebrations, I feel like. Sergio
drove players crazy, dude. I remember during the pandemic year when they had just started, he literally, one game I heard this voice, like, because, there's no fans there, right? So, like, there's about three things that stand out. One was the propensity, it was just glorious, of Rich Hill to drop F-bombs constantly while pitching. But one of them was this voice one day is coming from the outfield. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, this guy just screaming and yelling, and it was obnoxious. It's Sergio Romo in the bullpen.
and everyone else was in the bullpen because the game was going on.
The game's going on. No fans there, and he was just weird, like quirky, like. And I don't think he's a bad guy, but he was. You know what he was like? He probably, in retrospect, was like who was it Orlando Hudson? You told me about that drove players crazy.
Yes, Orlando Hudson was very vocal in the clubhouse.
I think Sergio was the same type of guy. Like he contributed, but I think his act wears out after about 2 months.
Interesting. Yeah, Ohud, really good player, by the way. Good second baseman.
That's the thing, yeah.
But wasn't he on like 4 different teams or 5 in consecutive years? And be like, why?
Yes.
Ohud's a good player. Like, why does he keep bouncing around? Covering him for 1 year. He was a classic, like, cameras come on. Here we go. Time to be on camera. Here we go, right? And the cameras would go off, and he's like, get the bleep out of my locker. Or get just kind of a cantankerous guy. And I'll never forget the next season. I think he was playing for the Diamondbacks or somebody, and they were in town for an interleague series or like whoever he was with the next season.
Yeah.
And he comes walking in the Twins clubhouse to say hi to all of his old teammates. And he comes in, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And there was probably 5 or 6 players sitting at their lockers right by the entrance. All of them just sitting there. They all turned in their chairs, looked over at Ohud, didn't say anything back. And then turn their chairs back, and he goes, "Oh, come on!" So yeah, sometimes those guys, I don't know. I didn't know Sergio like on a personal level, but sometimes the guys that are like, he's on camera, he's a leadership guy, aren't always that way behind the scenes.
I think in sports, guys that don't shut up for the most part drive their teammates crazy.
Yeah, just calm down.
Because it's like a guy like Nelson Cruz, right? He walks in and he's got words of wisdom, cool, calm, collected Nelson Cruz. And then you got guys that walk in and they're like, chirp, 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 chirp. And it's like, okay, dude, I can't take this.
Yeah. Just to put a bow on the Mahle conversation here. So it is a guaranteed contract for $22 million. He can earn up to $5 million more in bonuses depending on his 2025 innings tally in that second year. So it's going to be a $5.5 million salary this year and then $16.5 in 2025. with a limited no trade clause. I think when healthy, he's a really good pitcher. So I am curious, and that seems like a pretty fair price over 2 years. And the Twins do need another starter. So I'm just going to go on record and say Tyler Mahle has been a punchline because the trade didn't work. I think he has a good chance of thriving, especially on a discount contract like this in Texas. Just keep an eye on it.
I wonder if this is just to not to prolong the conversation with Rangers talk. I wonder if this comes from the fact that Bally's in Texas has bailed on the Rangers, and they've said our payroll has to come down.
Probably. Yeah.
And Montgomery, who pitched well if they acquired him from the Cardinals, who is a free agent, is unlikely to return because of that. I wonder if this is an attempt to sort of, on the cheap, in air quotes, replace him. Yeah,
and it would make sense too to structure the deal in this way where most of the money is in the second year after you've figured out a new TV partner. The MLB Trade Rumors article goes on to stick a knife in the Twins, twist it, and pour some salt in by writing.
Good. They deserve it on this.
For this one. Mahle spent a season and a half with the Twins. Minnesota acquired the right-hander from the Reds at the 2022 trade deadline. Turned out to be one of the more lopsided deadline deals of the past couple summers in Major League Baseball. Cincinnati acquired Spencer Steer, who finished 6th in Rookie of the Year voting, and Christian Encarnacion Strand. So Spencer Steer in 2023 played in almost every game for the Reds. He was a machine, man. Yes. And he winds up with 23 jacks, 86 RBI, an 820 OPS, which was 20% above league average. And then Christian Encarnacion Strand came in, 23 years old, in 63 games, hit 13 homers, 37 RBI, 805 OPS, which was 13% better than league average. Played a bunch of different positions. So, man,
this trade would hurt if it had been one of those two.
I know. But I get it. Like, I am all for taking calculated risks by trading prospects who, I mean, we could go back in Twins history or any team the last 20 years, Baseball America, top 10 organizational prospects. And in that moment, you're like, oh, man, you're thinking about the best version of all those prospects. And if they pan out to be, the 90th percentile, but usually they don't. So this is a case, though, where the odds are against both of those guys breaking out the way that they did. You got unlucky in some ways, but they also traded for pitchers that had known arm injuries, and so just hey, they had a great season at the end of the day, but this was a bad trade.
Spencer Steer as well, Swiss Army knife, first base, third base, left field, 16 games at second base, DH for 6 games, played 3 games in right. That would be the exact. I mean, in 2024, that's an invaluable ability to move around.
Yep. So, all right, Tyler Mahle. The Tyler Mahle era is officially over for the Minnesota Twins.
I'm okay with it being done.
Pour one out for.
He was a reminder. He was nothing but a reminder to the failure of another deadline deal, Phil.
So, all right, I'm going to pop the grid up here on the screen, and you'll see that there's a couple new categories here, Judd. And also the Cubs are on the grid, which is kind of our secondary team because we both grew up watching WGN in different eras. So we're both big Cubs guys.
Yeah.
But we're looking to go 9 for 9, obviously. And I think based on these categories and the Cubs being on the grid, I think the lowest rarity score we've had as a trio with Declan too is maybe 13 or 14. We should be keeping track of these, but we don't. I think we can flirt with it. We'll see. I don't know for sure, but here are the categories. A Cub who was an Angel, a Cub who was a Tiger, and a Cub who played 1 game at shortstop or more. That's one of the new categories. Did you play 1 game at a position or more? So that opens up a treasure trove of options, right? A Royal who was an Angel, a Royal who was a Tiger, and a Royal who played a game at shortstop. And then we're looking for an Angel who played a game at catcher, a Tiger who played a game at catcher, and a player who played a game at shortstop and a game at catcher, which is a fun little category. Mm-hmm. So you tell me, where do you want to start here?
Well, let's start with the Cubs. Let's start with Cubs Halos.
Gary Gaetti.
Yep. Gary Gaetti's a good one. I'm trying to think of pitchers. I'm trying to think of, there have to be some 80s and 90s, well, especially bullpen arms, right? like the Terry
There's
Mahales of the world.
Yes. Well, there was I'm trying to think Terry Mahle, did he pitch for the Angels?
I don't know for sure, but I'm saying that's the type of guy,
Mm-hmm.
that just bounced around.
Gary Matthews Jr. was an outfielder for both these teams.
Yeah.
He was a center fielder. In fact, one of the greatest catches he ever made, or one of the greatest catches, period. Wasn't he an Angel at Arlington Stadium in Texas when he reached up over the railing, kind of over his head? John Lackey is going to be a popular one here. We ran into John Lackey at Fort Myers bar a couple times.
Yeah, I seem to recall he was enjoying cocktails and talking to some young ladies.
Yes, he was.
Which was funny because he was probably quite a bit older than they were at the time. So yeah, so who I'm trying to think of the 90s or the 80s even for a Cub that went or just passed through both these teams.
Trying to see if I can type something in here. There was a reliever. Remember the championship team, the 0-2 championship team, the Angels, when K-Rod was their closer.
Yep.
And then they had another reliever. His last name was like O'Donnell or Donnelly. Was it? But I remember the Cubs poached him from that team like a couple years later.
Okay.
I think it's like Kevin. Was it Kevin O'Donnell or Kevin Donnelly? I'm typing,
that would be, if that's right, that'd be a good one.
Brendan Donnelly.
Okay.
Brendan
yeah,
Donnelly.
If he played for both teams, let's go with that because that's going to be very low.
Brendan Donnelly.
No way that's high.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Oh!
Right out of the gate.
Oh, no.
Right out of the gate, just wrong.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Who am I thinking of then?
I don't know.
Declan goes away for one day, and I
trusted you.
I screw us over on the grid.
I trusted you.
I'm sorry. Oh man, I need to go figure out who I'm thinking of because the Cubs I swear to God, they poached.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Let's
hunt for some other ones here. Let's hunt.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go now?
Can we regroup?
I don't know.
Let's go to a different category. Let's go. Okay, let's do the bottom right one.
Okay.
A player who played catcher and a player who played shortstop. Yep. And there's a famous one. Cesar Tovar once played all positions for the Twins in a game, right?
Yep.
So he would count.
And it was done against the Twins a few years back by the Tigers. What was his name? Romine?
Yeah, Andrew Romine, right?
Yeah, because he played all 9 too.
I also remember it's an obscure game from like the mid 90s. It was an extra innings game. I think it was in Detroit, but Jeff Rebele was the Twins' emergency catcher. And they had to put him in a game one time because like Matt Walbeck, and I'm trying to think who their backup catcher would have been, but I distinctly remember Walbeck. Jeff Rebele, emergency catcher, being activated.
He did play catcher?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was a shortstop utility guy, like middle infielder guy.
I mean, yeah, go with it.
You want to go Tovar or you want to go Rebele?
Try Rebele.
Okay. Jeff Rebele. Come on now. 0.05%.
Oh, very nice. Look at
this is gonna be really painful when we
in the
fall one grid short.
It's too bad that the Twins aren't on the grid because Kirby Puckett played shortstop a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, he was a replacement. I forget why, but they put him in at shortstop in an early 90s game in Cleveland, I remember, against the Tribe.
Let's go. Let's go through the shortstop ones. Cub shortstops.
All right. So we're looking for anyone who just like switched over there.
Well, it could be, I mean, like Sean Dunstan's, was like their 10-year starting shortstop.
Right, but I'm saying we'd prefer like a defensive, like a oddity of a replacement at shortstop.
Yeah. Well, the oldest school answer would be the Cubs, the world champion Cubs from the early 1900s had the Tinker. Yep, Tinker to Evers to Chance. And Joe Tinker would be the shortstop in that equation.
Don Kissinger played shortstop for him in the 70s a little bit. He was also a White Sox.
Okay.
Larry Bow was the shortstop when I was watching him on GN. I think he got replaced by Dunston.
Yeah, they went Dunston into like
Here's a question.
Jeff Blauser at one point was their shortstop.
Here's a question. Did Sandberg, who started as a third baseman and obviously moved to second, did he ever play as a replaced, in like
he did, right?
extra inning game?
He had to have.
I mean, it would be logical that if you were going to shift a guy who had to play shortstop, it would be Ryan. I don't remember this happening, but I'm just throwing it out there as a long shot, really low score.
I think we should take one of the. You said Boa and Kissinger from the
Don
70s.
Kessinger with a Kessi. He was a good defensive player. Don Kessinger right there.
I would say we either go like Don Kessinger or we go like really old school. We go Tinker.
Go Kessinger because he shouldn't be high.
Don Kessinger?
Yep.
3%. Okay. We can do that. For the Royals, my guy. I did a podcast with my guy Willie Bloomquist one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Freddie Patek was the shortstop the first Twins game I went to, which was against the Royals.
Freddie Patek?
P-A-T-E-K. Freddie Patek. Real little guy. Small guy.
Spell the last name again.
P-A-T-E-K. Freddie Patek.
I think that's right. Unless you want, Greg Gagne was also a twin Royal. Let's go Freddie Patek. Oh, 9%.
Oh, popular. Too popular.
Interesting.
Look at that stash, but though that 70 stash right there. That's screaming adult film business.
Let's go these other catchers here. So the Angels, you could go with the other Molinas were both. So Yadi is the Cardinals catcher. The other Molinas were both Jose and Benji were both Angels catchers.
It's a Wallflower song, right?
What? Which one?
A song called The Other Molinas sounds like a Wallflower song.
I could see.
Yep, Benji.
Kurt Suzuki. Kurt Suzuki was an Angels catcher.
Lance Parrish, who also played the majority of his career with the Tigers. Lance Parrish ended up as an Angel. Did Ed Ott ever play there? I don't know that for sure. I don't know that for sure. Bob Boone.
Bob Boone.
From the Phillies.
Let's keep the old school vibe. Let's go Bob Boone.
Eventually became an Angel.
Bob Boone. 7%. Okay, these are a little higher than I kind of expected.
Yeah.
I've also ruined the entire mojo by just whiffing on that first one.
The
catchers, Tigers, Mickey Tettleton.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matt Walbeck was a former Twins and Tigers catcher.
Mm-hmm.
That might be our one right there, actually. Matty Walbeck.
Yeah.
We go Matty Walbeck.
Plug that one in. Cub, right? Started out as a Cub.
I believe he was a Cub. The Twins and Cubs actually swapped a bunch of catchers, didn't they?
Yeah. Blanco.
Tom Prince,
I think
wasn't
signed
he?
A free agent.
Yeah,
Tommy Blanco. Prince was a long time, or Pirate too. I love Tom Prince. Twins have had some great
0.08 on Matty Walbeck.
God. And now, man, that's some redemption right there.
Okay.
All right,
we can do. Let's finish the Cubs out here for sure.
All right.
You want to go? All right, Cub. We mentioned Gary Matthews Jr., Gary Gaetti. Well, actually, Gary Gaetti would then. He was a Royal too.
Yep.
Let's do that.
He fits right there.
Let's see.
For sure.
Gaetti right here in the Royals, Angels.
And a Cardinal.
0.9. Look at that.
Oh, wow. See, I'm surprised,
this is weird. How is he 0.9 but Freddie Patek? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
It's ridiculous.
Interesting. All right, so you want to go Cubs now, since we only have 2 left?
Yeah, we only got 2 left.
Okay. Yeah, Sarge Jr. is good. Gary Matthews Jr., try that one.
We want this one here. We want the 99
through
2000.
I forgot he was 1%. I forgot he was an Angel. Oh, see, we should have just stuck with that one. That's a good one.
Oh, it's so dumb.
All right, now we need a Tiger.
Right, Grady. Cubs, Tigers. This is our last one, by the way. So right now we're sitting at...
Yeah, we'll not do the Royals.
12, 19. The good news is we're over 20%, so I didn't shipwreck our best ever rarity score.
Well, Freddie Patek screwed me because I thought I was being creative.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Is this an Edwin Jackson situation here? He was definitely a Tiger.
I'm trying to think of like the 90s or from more our school, like for you for the 90s or me for the
Kyle
80s.
Farnsworth.
Ooh.
Kyle Farnsworth was
good one.
played multiple years with these teams.
That's a good
But that
one.
might be a high. It might be kind of high. It doesn't matter at this point, I guess.
I'm trying to think of infielders. Like, was there anybody? I'm blanking on a lot of like deals between these two teams.
I don't know. There's White Sox Tigers connections like Mags and
yes,
some others.
Big time.
Delman never played for the Cubs. Did LaTroy Hawkins ever pitch for the Tigers?
I don't remember.
Actually, he pitched for the Angels. I'm pretty sure we probably could have used the. Man, I butchered that square, man. We probably could have used Hawk.
Well, I got a little excited because you said there was a guy. I don't even remember.
I swear to God, the Cubs poached.
I don't remember this fictitious Donley you told me about.
I don't know. There must have been a different one.
Detroit and I mean, these teams have been around forever. There have to be a lot of connections.
We know we can go Farnsworth. Well, I'm struggling here.
I'm trying to think of infielders or outfielders. I mean, Farnsworth is probably lower than we think, but the Patek one throws me off.
Yeah,
I'm shaken by the Patek one.
Well, let's go Farnsworth and lick our wounds here. Kyle Farnsworth is... So what was his percentage there? 2% on Kyle Farnsworth.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'm disappointed in my guys not being a lower percentage, to be honest with you.
Okay, who am I? Sorry, Kevin. I need to do this now. I need to look up the 2002 because the Angels or not. I keep saying Kevin. 2002 Angels reference. Mm-hmm. They had a stud bullpen. It carried them. 99 win team. They had, let's see here. Yeah, Brendan Donnelly.
Percival, Schoenweiss, Weber, Al Levine, Brendan Donnelly.
Ben Weber. Yeah, man. I don't know. I guess I just blacked out and thought.
I wonder if you just thought that there was. I mean, the problem is that's 2002. So were you in high school then?
I was in high school. I wasn't really drinking, though.
I was going to say,
I don't know where that came from.
I was going to suggest that you had gotten into the cocktails by then, but yeah, it's not like you were at the university.
I will. You know what I'll do? I'm going to think about this over the weekend. I'm going to sleuth on Baseball Reference. I know the audience is dying to know who I'm trying to think of, and I will report back at some point.
Do you remember Lou Pote, Pote, P-O-T-E, from that bullpen? From the 2002 Halos bullpen. I don't have any recollection. He pitched 50 and a third innings. No recollection.
I don't remember that guy. Didn't they have a guy with goggles at one point too? Pretty sure they had a guy with goggles. Maybe that was Brendan Donnelly. Maybe Brendan Donnelly had goggles.
Perhaps you're confusing goggles with the Cubs.
I don't know. I can't help you. Was it Kevin Gregg? I think it was Kevin Gregg.
Okay.
I mixed up. Kevin Gregg wound up as the closer for the Cubs.
Wow.
Same thing. Kevin Gregg, Brendan Donnelly, just a bunch of right-handed setup guys.
Oh my God! All right.
And by the way, and he wasn't even on the 02 team. He came around in 03
he's not on that roster,
and then 04. All right. Well, I just sabotaged our chances here for a low score, but there's always next time here on the Immaculate Grid. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Score North Twin Show. Please give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts as we look to grow this community of Twins fans. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you.